Okay, so I want to cover one last thing in the series, and that is exceptions. Exceptions are what happens when things get screwed up. So things get screwed up in programming all the time. One of the best part about it is that actually here's one right here. One of the best things about except computers is that even when they break, like they're not really broken. You just rerun it. No big deal. So let's go ahead. I ran this code right here, and right away there's an exception. So the trick is really learning how to read these and make sense of them. This is what's called the stack trace. So what it's trying to show you is what happened in time. So it starts at the bottom. This will be the very beginning of your program. So this is running inside of Atom. So it says there's a main function, which is essentially the entry point. And then it says on line 8, there's an each. And then on line 8, there's a block, which is this thing here. And so inside of the block on line 8, there's an undefined local variable or method called one-liner. Okay? And then it says name error. So if I look at this, look at one-liner, and then I maybe do Apple D, like, there's nothing there. There's no way that's going to work. It's not defined. If I wanted to start working, I'd have to define it here. So I say one-liner, and then I can do whatever I want here. Say, the person. Something like that. Now it'll work. So, easy. That's an exception. Other kinds of exceptions you could have. So suppose you had a person here, and you thought there was a method called print can drive. A method like on hash. Probably not there, but let's see what happens. All right. Now we see undefined method print can drive for so-and-so hash. No method error. Kind of the same thing. We see the line up, so we look at the top line of the stack trace. It says script on 11. So go to 11. Sure enough, print can drive, not defined. You getting the hang of this? All right, let's try a couple more. So what if we just did this? All right, now we see unterminated string meets end of file, line 11. So go to line 11, there's a tick. There's a single quote just sitting there. Just being a real pain. Just totally breaking our program. What if we had a double quote sitting there? Syntax error, unexpected T constant, expecting keyword end. And it says line 14. Line 14. Well, let's see here. What's happened? Well, this quote here has kind of gotten lined up with that quote. So that's all kind of like one string. And then there's these words that are all capital letters. And then there's so-and-so. So something's kind of wrong. But this is where the syntax highlighting really starts to help you out. So you see this is getting highlighted as something. It's actually getting highlighted as a constant, which we haven't discussed yet. But so what I would say is kind of walk backwards from where it's highlighted correctly and try to figure out what's wrong. So I'd start by maybe deleting this. Does that make it better? Well, at least the end of this starts to highlight correctly. So that's kind of good. But I think if you were to go backwards to where things left off being good, so like things are definitely good here. You see a good ending quote, so that seems right. I get rid of this. Now, let's see, now where am I? Okay, so now I've got this quote. So now at this point, I think this will actually run. Yeah, so what I get is now I just have all this extra space in here. So now I can just back this up, and now I've kind of debugged the issue. So do you see how I kind of debugged that? Let's replay it one more time. So this is like literally what I would do. I come in here and I'd say, oh shoot, okay, something's wrong with this line. Okay, so maybe this is wrong. So maybe I get rid of that quote. Let's see what that does. So I run this. Okay, so now it says it's expecting, no, that's not right. So that quote I need. So then maybe I'll try to get rid of this one. Is this what I need? Okay, no, that's not quite right. All right, so I'll put that one back. And then I go up maybe to where the highlighting changes. So this all looks good highlighted, but then like, should this quote be here or not? So maybe I'll get rid of that one, run it. Now the program runs, but I've got all this extra white space, so that alerts me that there must be something happening between old and this if statement, and that's where I find that there's extra white space there. That makes sense? So that's kind of reading stack traces. What will happen is that as you have more and more methods, let's go ahead and make some methods just for fun. Method 1, def method 2. So inside of method 3, we'll make a mistake. So we'll say, here's a string, and we'll call smatter push. All right, definitely not a method. No question about that. So from method 1, we'll call method 2. And from method 2, we'll call method 3. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to call method 1 for each person. So now we're really going to make a mess. All right, so let's hit run. Okay, so let's look at our stack trace. So the top of the stack trace says, it says script.rb on line 9, undefined method smatterpuss for string. Okay, so that seems pretty obvious right away what the issue is. You've got this literal string, and you can't call smatterpuss on that. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Now, what if we had things a little bit more complicated? Let's imagine that we're calling method 1 with a couple different things. So let's say this has an argument. So this is thing. All right, so we're going to pass this all along. So we're going to pass thing in each one of these methods. All right. And let's see, what should we call here? Let's just call let's call this we call this person actually. That seems fine. So we'll call this person. All right. And so this is going to be get age. All right, so we're going to call get age. And we can keep this kind of contrived here. So it would be method 1 calls method 2. Method 2 calls get age. Get age says person of age. Okay? So that makes sense. So here we should be able to call method 1 with each person. And we should be able to get the age back. And so we could actually do that in place of, it'd be a little bit of indirection, but we can do it in place of that there. So that seems fine. And then we can also call method 1 down here, and let's just go ahead. Here we'll put a string in. So we'll put Jeff in as a string. Okay, so what's wrong? All right, so now I got a script, line 9, get age. And I'm thinking, okay, so something's wrong here, but I know that I can call square bracket age on a hash. That's totally fine. And what it's saying is, this says no implicit conversion symbol to integer. Huh, all right, I'm not sure what that means, but let's walk back the call stack. So when I say walk back, I mean start at the top and walk down until you kind of figure out where you are. So this says get age gets called by method 2 on line 13. So sure enough, yeah, that happens. And then method 1 on line 17, that calls method 2. All right, that happens. And then line 28 in main, that's the originator of the call. So that's the bottom of the call stack. So I know that the problem is not with this call. This call is fine. Otherwise, it would be in the call stack. The issue is with line 28. So I know I'm just calling it wrong here. So if I just stop doing that, then the error will clear and we'll be good to go. That makes sense?